Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Tuesday night live with Paula McCoy. And we are going to be talking about how to use your scrapbook clear ink pads to ink your stamps. And then I have a pen also. And this is kind of a continuation of what Jamasion Schuler put out the other day. And in the description of this video is the link to his video. Be sure and subscribe to his YouTube channel if you're not yet. He has some great information. He takes you along his little glass journey that he's doing and shares pretty much everything that he does. So check him out. I'm sure you'll love all the stuff that he does. Okay. So we're going to give it just a few minutes and allow some folks to get on. If you're on, be sure and tell me where you're from. And we'll get started in just a few minutes. So I took last week off because I was on vacation, which was great. First time I've done that in probably 20 years. Wasn't long enough, that's for sure. So welcome, welcome everyone. Be sure and type in the chat where you're from. And we always like to know where you're from. If you have any questions about anything I'm talking about tonight or just something you want to know about glass product related, be sure and put that in the chat and we'll answer your questions. I have Jenny helping me in the background, so she will, if I miss a question, she will read those off to me. Okay, so say hello. All right. Hey, Debbie, Stephen, hello there, Michigan. Debbie, where are you from? I don't remember. I'm trying to get my mouse to cooperate here. Okay. All right. So, Jenny, is everything look good on YouTube? We good to go? Okay. All right. So, all righty. So, once again, you guys may have missed it. In the description of the video below, I have a link to Jamasion Schuler's YouTube video that he did and released it like 3 or 4 days ago. And he talks about how to use the Versa, and I kind of spun some ideas in my head. So I quickly did, I set some last night to a 1380 with a 10-minute hold just on single pieces of glass because I want to give you some ideas of where I think you can go with this and then show you how to use different stamps, also different types of stamps so that you're not limited to just like the stamps that I sell or whatever. So hopefully that'll give you some ideas. All right, North Carolina. Okay, Debbie, great. Hey, Nancy, how are you? Yes, I'm back. I'm back. All right. And once again, my mouse is not acting right. Of course. Why not? All right. So I'm going to switch over, turn on my mic. Okay. So it should be good. So don't forget, if you have any of our glass products, um, ask to join our private Facebook group. Okay. CFE for Colors for Earth, Glass Color Artists. There's 3 questions. You need to answer those questions. Okay. And tell me where you purchased your products. And there's a couple other questions in there. Good evening, Eddie. Okay, so be sure and do that. If you're not already part of the group, be sure and subscribe. Click the subscribe button, hit the bell so you get notifications when I upload a video or go live. Okay, that way you don't miss out. So like I said before, Jameson has a video that he put out the other day, and the link is in the description. I'm trying to get my mouse to work, and it's just not behaving. My internet was down earlier, so hopefully I can. Sure. Okay. Anyway, okay. So the link is to his video is in the description below. Um, he mentioned in his video that he liked the designer products. They're pure pigment. They do have to be capped. So when I did a sample and fired it, what I did, and I'm just laying this on a piece of white so that you can see it, okay? I sifted clear powder frit over this, and I just did a single 3 millimeter layer of glass because I wanted it to act as a part sheet or something that I could add to another, as a part sheet to another one. Or like I've done here, I cut it slightly, the white opaque, slightly larger. I can create a frame. I could do a background wash. There's all different types of things that you can do. Okay. But think of it, this particular technique, as part sheets. I think that is going to be nice to add because you could stamp all over glass, then cut it up, whether it's for jewelry, it doesn't matter. You can create all different types of things. You missed the information, Nancy. So the other day, the information that I was talking about earlier is just Jamasion had done a video using this VersaMark ink pad. Okay. So this is from the scrapbooking department. So it's just a clear, and I'm going to show you how to do all of that. And so he had that one. And then this is a Ranger marker. So this is just a clear, and these are all in this, if I can get it, scrapbooking department. Okay. You can get them on Amazon also, but any of your hobby stores. Of course, things because of COVID are kind of hard to get. So you might want to check to see if they're in stock before you go looking, or just order on Amazon. That tends to be what I do. I think I got these at Hobby Lobby, and this particular pen came, yeah, I got it at Hobby Lobby with two. It comes with a black and a clear, so I just used the clear when I was doing my samples. Okay, so your designers are going to be the strongest, the pure pigment, the darkest, okay, compared to the other products. Okay, so I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. So, and I put white glass behind all of these so that you can kind of see. Okay, so this is, believe it or not, 343 sapphire blue enamel. Now this is a really, really dark blue, but because of the amount of product that's adhering to the stamp, the ink that you're putting on there, it's less. It's kind of like, think of it as powdered frit. You have to have a lot of it for it to stick, and only so much can absorb into that watermark, so to speak. Okay. This one here, and I've got a little bit of a glare. Let me move that. See if that's better. This one was done with the silkscreen black. Okay. So that's the silkscreen black one. And this is designer one. Okay. Now, when you look at the products, you can see that has more of a gray tone to it. This is black. See the difference? You can see the difference in the container. That should give you your first clue of what you're going to get. Okay, so think of it that way. I did put, and Jenny can put a link to it. I did put a link out on my page, Colors for Earth page, and the glass page. There's a blog post, and I put all these photographs before and after firing. I put a picture that shows the stamps, the marker, everything is out there. So you can download, it's 3 pages is all it is. You can download that PDF to have for reference. Okay. Okay, so Jenny says she cannot post links. So if you'll just go to my Facebook page, guys, and I can put the link in the description of the YouTube video after we're finished, okay? But there is a link to the blog post on my Facebook page. Okay, this one is Copper Sparkle, okay? Copper. When very little is adhering to that, once again, but let me tell you, and I did a kind of a side shot of one section for that PDF. It almost looks like rose gold is what it reminds me of. Isn't it? It's just absolutely beautiful. So all of these were just stamped. Here's writing with the pen. See, I wrote my name, and then I just sifted. And I am using the little enamel sifters to get it on there. I found that that worked best for me, and I'm going to show you. We're going to walk through this, okay? So that's kind of cool. I thought, whether you use this in the middle of a plate, you could trim it, or maybe you want to write a recipe on something, grandma's recipe. You could put, type it out, print it out on your computer, and then just take the marker and write over it with your own handwriting. There's different tips out there. This particular one is more of a broad tip. I couldn't find any of the smaller ones. You can see it's a little large. Okay. So when you put this on, and let me find a piece of glass. So the PDF, this is what I've put out there for you. Okay. So I showed you, I've sifted the color on, and I'm going to show you what I did with the enamel. And there's how it looks. That's the color it was. You know, everything is here. And I've even put the different stamps and the product numbers on there if you're looking for a particular stamp. And then here is your fired pictures, unfired pictures, the stamps, everything is listed. Products are listed there. And then you've got a large photograph, and you can kind of see in this one where I tilted that so you could kind of see the image. So it's a good quick reference guide to get started anyway. So hopefully you'll like that and use that. Okay, so what I want to show you is, like, if I were going to write my name, and I know you can't hardly see that. Let me see if I can get it tilted just right. Of course not. Maybe right there you can kind of see. Let me see if I flip this back down, if it's going to. Nah, you can't see it. Okay. I can see. There you go. Right there you can kind of see part of the name. So you can see it there. I did test it. Jamasion did also. You can let this set for, it's basically like a glue. But depending on how much is on here, only so much of whatever product you're using can adhere to that. Okay? That's common sense stuff. So think about it that way. But I think that these images, whatever you decide to stamp with, if you do it on clear, you could flip this over, paint on the back side after it's been fired. Okay, 1380 minimum temperature. And you could do reverse painting. You could just block in colors. It doesn't, you could do brush strokes with color concentrates. There's so many other options, but I think it's a great way for those that maybe don't like to paint, or you can't use the quill pen, and you can find some images that you can just flip these over after you fire and set the product, and then you can reverse paint it. I think it's a great idea. It's a great way for the non-painter to be able to do something. Okay. So what I'm going to show you, and I thought I would I brought a transparent green because I thought, wow, let's just try some like white silk screen on this and see what happens. Now, there are stamps. We have our stamps that are free form. Okay. I can tell you that if you can you see, you can kind of see that sticky, shiny look. That's what's left over from inking on this VersaMark pad. Okay. And I did not take these to the sink and wash them. Look at this one, how shiny it still is. Now, is it sticky? No, nothing's going to come off, but it kind of leaves that on there. So you may have to clean your stamps if you use them with other products. I would clean them with white distilled vinegar and even some alcohol. Don't use a whole lot of alcohol because you'll dry out. Alcohol will dry out the rubber stamps. Okay. And here's another one that I used in the center, so you can kind of see it still has that sticky look to it. But this is on a clear block, and this is the only size that I could find. And you can see the stamp, what it looks like. These are all Stampendist stamps. We have the ones that are the red, so the Stampendist ones come like this. So they're on like this little thin sheet, and then you can just attach that if you just press down on the clear block, and you can buy the blocks in different sizes. Okay, that way you've got something that you can add pressure to. All right, so let's see if this one is going to fit. Just barely. Normally you would stand up and be over your piece, so let's see if I can even get it centered. Okay, so I took the stamp pad and I'm just going to tap it on. Make sure you get it nice and coated. And then I just left it upside down like that so that I can pick it up easily to do my next one. Okay, let's hope this doesn't fall off. You can kind of look overhead, and I'm going to sit it down. Get that out of the way and kind of do a little pressure to to make sure everything is down. And then you got to watch for section. I'm going to grab the plastic part. You can't peel this plastic off because you peel off the design on this particular stamp. Okay, I think you can see that in the light. See that? So the image is there. Set that aside. I'm going to move these other pieces out of the way. And I've got a piece of white paper underneath me because I need that to collect all of what's left over. So I'm going to grab the silkscreen white because I think it'll look great on this particular piece of glass. I like to put my sifter over my lid so that I'm not wasting product or have to clean it up. It just catches it. And then I'm just going to come in and I'm going to tap. You can use your tool if you want to. And just make sure you get it really, really coated. You would do the same thing with whatever product you're using, whether it is the designer, the enamel, the silkscreen, it doesn't matter. Just get it really, really coated well, solid, because you need to make sure you get that product on every single little line that you stamped. So you want it to grab it and absorb. So be generous with your application of color, whatever color you're using. Do we have any questions, Jenny? I don't see any. Okay. Ask questions, guys, if you have any about this or anything about the glass products. Okay. All right. So I'm going to lift this up and I'm going to tap it down. Can you see that? Pretty cool. Then what I did was I just took a brush. I'm using the large sumi that is dry, and I just dusted off the excess. Now, I don't know that this is going to be as white as I thought. I think I would have probably used the designer white. Will the bubble art, I'm assuming is what she's asking, cause bubbles, is what Debbie is asking. You know, I believe Jamasion tried the bubble art and he didn't get a good result. I think it's because it's very little of the product. Okay. So you'd have to just kind of try it and see. I'm not sure you're going to be able to see enough of it, would be my gut feeling. Now, there's some glue pads like this VersaMark one, and they may have more stickiness to them and work. But can you see that? Isn't that pretty? So I think there's a lot of things that you can do with it. The silkscreen and the design, okay, silkscreen products cannot be capped. So you would just put this in and fire it to the minimum temperature, 1380. You might get away with 1325, hold for 10 minutes. You'd almost be there. And it depends on what glass you're using. But you can see that I really didn't change the shape of my glass. It rounded a little bit. I'm 96 COE is what I use. This was 1380 for 10 minutes. So even if you didn't hold the 10 minutes, you might have got, you know, not quite as rounded as this. And every kiln is different. Okay. So I would do a test to see what you can get away with. All right. So then having the paper underneath, that's going to give me the ability to reclaim this into my jar. Okay. So can you see that? I think you can see that okay. All right. Let's zoom in just a little bit. All right. Now, let's do one with white designer and show you the difference. And I'm going to have to tap this out on my trash can to get most of that out of there. So that was the silkscreen white was this one. Okay. Silkscreen white. So the silkscreen white is different than just the white enamel. Okay. The G302, we've added more pigment, which is kind of like some of the pigment that's in the designer. It's like adding some white designer to it. So technically you could take the white or black designer and you could add a little bit to your regular white and black enamels. And basically you're pumping up the color is what you're doing. Okay. So I've got another green one. Let's go with a different stamp. So you don't have to have the block. I can just do it like this. Okay. And we're going to do the designer white. Let's do the small stamp. Yeah. Let's do one of those. And then let me show you here. So there's gray ones. I've already done one of those. The gray, it's on a little sheet also. See, it comes on the big sheet. So it just kind of clings to that, so to speak, and then removes. And you can attach it to a block. These other ones that I put in the PDF, these are clear. Okay. And you can take and attach those to the block and create a design also. So we'll do that in a minute. All right. And then I just put them back on this sheet that shows me the designs and what the words, because everything is backwards. It's an easy way to keep it. Okay. So once again, take your ink pad. I'm having internet problems. Mine's okay at the moment, but I had problems earlier, Nancy, so it could even be me. Okay. Catch the replay. All right, so I'm stamping it well with the ink. Inking it up, I guess, would be a better term. I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to put this to the side because I want to add other stamps on here. Press it down. Make sure it's firm. Make sure you're on a level surface also. That helps. And if my block was larger, I wouldn't have to press down on those sides. But because it's not, I want to make sure that it gets that image on there. I think you can kind of see that image. See that there? Okay. I'm going to set that one aside. And now I can take some of my little images. So maybe I want that one there. And I can add a leaf and another leaf. And let's just put a little flower there. And I don't have any, I don't know that all this will fit, but we'll stick it on there and see. Same thing. So you can wait a little bit. You don't have to put your color on there right away, but don't wait a long time. I mean, while I'm doing this, yes. Okay. And with the clear blocks, you can see where your other designs are. So that's what's nice about these. I can see my image. Now, the only thing I found with these clear rubbery ones is they tend to slide a little bit. So be careful. Anchor your glass so that you can lift, so you can kind of see those images there. Okay. You know what I need to do? I need to take away that scroller at the bottom. I just realized I didn't do that. Okay. Set that aside. What I say I was going to use. I'm going to use the designer. Now, this, of course, is in a baggie versus, so I'm going to have to just use my paper here. And that's still got some white, but I don't think it'll make that much difference. I'm just going to add that in there. All right, here we go. So once again, it doesn't matter what product you're using. You just need to get a solid coverage, because everywhere there is that stamp pad, you need to be able to cover it with product so it grabs it and holds some of it there to create your image. So I think this is an optional way of designing for people that say they're non-painters, but it's a way for you to use your products and create part sheets. I can, you know, and you could create a whole, you know, like one big sheet with a whole bunch of stuff on it, and then just come back and cut it up, cut it into strips, maybe separate that area by a solid piece of glass even. So there's so many different ways. Hopefully this will give you some ideas. Tap it off, and you can see that image. So if you're looking at the two of these, see the difference? I mean, you can really see the designer one, and I haven't even brushed off the excess yet. And I go right over the top of that inked area. You're going to think, oh my gosh, you're taking away, but you're really not. It's amazing. I was blown away that you could do that. Okay, so you can kind of see how nice that is. And just make sure you've got all of that off of there before you fire it. Okay, so silk screen, which is this one, do not cap until it's been fired. Designers, you have to cap. So this is one that I would sift over the top, which is exactly what I did on this guy here. I sifted over it just with some clear powdered frit, and it has a little bit of texture to it, and it will. That's okay. But that protected the image, because if you fire it without capping it at all, you put a full sheet over it if you wanted to. I just didn't know what I wanted to do with it, so I just sifted. If you don't put a piece or sift on top of this, it will literally wipe off in your hands after you fired it. Okay. Isn't this, yeah, Stephen, I think there's so much you can do with this. It's just crazy, crazy, crazy. So hopefully that gives you a couple of ideas. So when you're doing it with the enamel, it's just going to be very light. So think about what what your end product is going to be. Let's see if Paula can make a mess. So have enough that you can at least, you know, get the image on there. Get enough enamel, enough product. Let me clean that one out. That's why I've got two of them. Okay, so just think about it. You could do red and have a red image on white. Maybe it was a flag. I mean, there's just, my mind is just racing. I just want to stamp a bunch of images and play. Is what I want to do. Okay, so let's do an enamel. And how about we do the copper? Okay, but you can see with, this is the sapphire blue. Okay, and it's very light, but I can see this just as a background, and then maybe you paint a flower, so you could create, you know, just a subdue design in the background. I think that's very cool. And with the sparkles, you want to fire them and then you can cap them. So all of this was stamped copper sparkle, and then I used the pen here to do, and I need to do that other one with the name. But isn't that, it's like a rose gold almost look to it, but this is the copper sparkle. Isn't that impressive? I was thrilled to death with that. All right, we need a piece of glass. Okay, and this one still has my name there. We'll see how much of it will actually still stick after we do the stamping. So we're just going to use one of these guys. We've done the clear stamps. We've done the gray. Okay, we did the gray ones because everybody has different types of stamps. These are one of the stamps that we sell online. So they're just a red rubber stamp. So if you use a glue pad or this VersaMark pad, okay, just make sure you clean your stamps before you go use it for something else. Clean it with alcohol, distilled vinegar, something to get all that sticky, ooey gooey stuff off. Now this particular stamp comes in these two medallions come in one. Now, could I stamp another? Let's do it. Let's just stamp it a second time and see what happens. See if it gets enough. When I was doing mine, I recoded the stamp for each application because I can tell you that you can still see it there, but it's not as heavy. And then we'll do a partial here at the end just to show you what happens. And then I know I've used that section, so I'm going to stick the other section up here. Put that away. And then I'm going to write on the bottom of here. I can see it. I know you guys can't, but I'm going to write McCoy there, and we'll see if it adheres to the Paula differently than it does to the other. Okay. So on this particular one, I'm going to wait for just a second. I'm going to use the copper, and I've got a second sifter here. Put it in the cap. That'll help you with cleanup. So what do you guys think? Is this something that you think you would use or not? Jenny, what about you? I know you guys can't hear Jenny, but yes, she said yes, she would use it. My air conditioner is running. Can you see how it's it's like there's air? Imagine that, air conditioner running. Yeah, well, it's what, 106 today? Hot tamale. That's why I don't like Texas. So you're going to be able to reclaim. It doesn't do anything. It's going to only absorb what it needs to. So don't think you're putting anything back into your container. You're not. Okay. Steven said yes, that he would use this. Awesome. I can't wait to see what you guys do. So, and you can let it sit there for a minute, but I guarantee you it's going to stick immediately. See that? Now watch this. I'm going to go right over the top of that, and it's not taking it off. You can see a little bit of a color change, but not a whole lot. So I'm going to tap this against the edge of my table to get that off of the brush. Isn't that amazing? Pretty cool. Thank you, Jamasion, for investigating and testing, because I think this is definitely something that the average person can do. Okay. And then I did take, I'm not going to do it on camera, but I kind of blew it off, any of the excess, but just double check it before you put it in the kiln in case you had some sticky on your finger. Make sure you don't have anything where you don't want it. Now, these areas here, I just didn't get a good impression, or I didn't have enough of the ink pad on those. You could even take, oh gosh, your shapers, and you could wipe out. Hold on, I'm going to try to reach one. Okay, so the shapers are the rubber tip tools. And if you decided you didn't want that single, looky there, you can just take off the whole ring around there if you decide you want to make it different than the rest of them. Isn't that pretty cool? Pretty nifty, pretty nifty. And I think that's a circle. It's hard to see with all the sparkle. Now, it is leaving a little bit of a footprint, I'll call it. So if you decide to wipe off, I would clean your tool with some alcohol or vinegar just to make sure, because there is some stickiness. And I don't know that the camera is going to, maybe right there. You can kind of see that little extra ring around there. See that? It looks white, but that's actually the glue line. So just be careful if you're going to do that, because it may. Now, also, remember I did a second impression with one. So this was my first impression after inking it. Nice and crisp. This one is not as crisp because that was a second impression. I think I would apply your Versa to it before each impression would be my rule of thumb if I were doing it. Okay. You loved Jamison's video. Isn't he great? He's just he's he has so much information. It's great that he shares that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put the copper on this guy also. Let me get this back in here. I had a mess last night with all this stuff everywhere. Okay. And let's see if it's going to attach to that, my name, because one of the Paula I had written in the beginning, so it's been, what, over 15 minutes probably, Jenny, right? Since I did that one. Yeah. So we'll see if it adheres and it doesn't. That's what, and Jamasion did a test like that too. So every product is different. Everybody's application, you know, how much you put on there, you know, you need to test it for yourself so that you know what's going to work for you. And that's with anything. And every kiln fires differently. Well, looky there. Holy moly. It still adhered. Is that awesome? Dust it off to remove the excess. I did a quick blow off to the side there so that you can, but look at that. So that's at least 15 minutes earlier. I can see a little bit of a difference. I can see it heavier on McCoy versus Paula, but I'm not sure firing wise, you know, if there's going to be a difference that you can tell. Okay. If you only wanted a part of an image, you could always put down painter's tape. I mean, there's so many different other ways to do this. So hopefully that gives you a couple of ideas. All right, let's get rid of this. And I'm going to switch paper because that's got sparkle on it and it'll get everywhere. And I'm also going to tap off my brush over here on the side because I don't want sparkle in everything else. Okay. So, and I cut myself earlier. Do you see that? All right. Let's do a clear. This is just a scrap piece that I had in there. I'm just going to doodle and let's see what happens. And we'll do it with, so I like to do what I call that Cornelia lace, which is one continuous line. And I know you guys can't see it. It's even hard for me to see. But I'm just going to kind of run it on here and you see, there you go. You can kind of see a little bit of it there. Okay. So this is just using the Ranger, which is, it's a scrapbook product company. Emboss it pen. And remember I bought the black and the white. Okay, came in here. I haven't tried the black. Let's try the black and see if it even makes a difference. You know, is the black gonna do something? Now I gotta see where I had the lines at. So this is what I was doing. I think it'll just burn out, but hey, we'll try it. I'll let you know. Probably won't fire these tonight, but I will in the next day or so. It looks like the same gluey look, if that's a word. Is gluey a word? Hey, Marie. That would make a great calling card for something you can put. Yeah, so like a business card holder or something, which I have to make some for my sister. So that's a great idea. Okay, I'm going to use enamel on this one. And we're going to go ahead and just use the 43 because that's what I've got out here. And make sure this is clean. It may have a little bit of sparkle in it. So this is 343 Sapphire Blue. Okay. Now, I guess you could just dump the enamel on there, but I like to sift it on because then it's finer. It's not the big chunks. I know it's going to adhere to those lines that I put on there. Now, I don't know that anything's going to adhere to the black, but it's called an embossing pen, so I would assume that it's going to grab some of this. We're going to find out together. Okay. It looks like the same. The dark one, of course, is a black ink, so it looks a little different, but we'll see if it actually causes any problem in the kiln. I think it looks like it's got the same amount on there. Let me get a piece of white behind it so you can see it. Okay, but product wise, I don't know. You know what? Oh, yeah, it did. I've started to say it didn't adhere to it, but I think it did. It's just very misleading how much is there. Okay, so that one is going to come out lighter, like this one did. Okay, very, very nice for a background. I can see this. If you just stamp the whole entire, like create the big one and then just put it around it and basically create a wallpaper type effect in the background. Okay, that's what I would use it with. And then coordinate it with like some spirit glass or wispy, or there's just so many things. Or cut it up and use it in something. All right, does anybody have any questions out there? Ask now or forever hold your peace. Hopefully this gives you some ideas. I just thought I'd come on and give you my take with just my product. If you'd seen Jameson's, and maybe you could run with it and do your own thing. Okay. Any questions? I don't see anybody having any questions. Okay. So Jenny said she doesn't see any either. All right. So um, tip number one, ink it every time. Okay. So add your ink to your stamp every time you get a crisper line. This one was the second impression, so I would definitely reapply the VersaMark clear ink, so to speak, to your stamp for each impression. I think you'll get a better absorption and a crisper line. So that's one tip. You can write and wait and come back. It looks like it's good, but I would say probably do it when you're ready to apply your color. You're going to get, it's going to hold better because it's really wet. It's going to absorb more product. Okay. So there's your second one. And like I said, whether you're using the pad for the stamps or you're actually writing to sign something, because you could just sign your name real quick. You could have a stamp made with your name and then do it. Okay. If you're using sparkles, you need to fire and set that color, and then you can come back and cap it. Now, copper sparkle usually holds between glass, but the other three, the silver, gold, and white, do not. So I just try to say fire it and then come back. And this was the copper. This is the same color. Okay. So it's going to mute a little bit because you don't have a lot of product on there. It's very thin. I think it looks like rose gold. I love that look to it. Okay. And then the designers you have to cap. So just think about all the different, whatever you're using, read the instructions on that product. So you have to cap. So I just sifted over this, and all of these were fired to 1380 with a 10-minute hold. And I'm using 96 COE. And this one is the silk screen black for the single butterfly. This one is the designer. Okay. And on that PDF, I've got all that information written out for you. Okay, so this one is the silk screen. This one is the designer. This is your enamel. And this one is your copper enamel. Okay, so different things do different. So what I was saying in the very beginning is flip this over and paint on the back side. I think we should do that. So just real quick, but I would definitely fire it. Okay, you need to fire and set before you flip. So this one I could flip over, and I mixed up just a couple of colors before we came on, just so I could show you real quick. So if I wanted to paint, I've got sapphire blue. See how blue that is when it's mixed up compared to that blue there? So completely different because you're using it in a different way. And I've got powder blue, which is 344. I just wanted a light and a dark. And I've got my 455 number 0, which is the class brush. So you could come in here and say you wanted the light on the top of that petal. And remember, because your lines are already there, your center veins, all that is there. Wipe off the excess. I'm going to grab some of the dark and put it here. Now, when you're doing reverse painting, because we haven't really talked about this at all, remember that normally we're painting on the top side, right? So you think, oh, that's beautiful. But guess what? You're not going to be able to see that on the other side. And I'm going to show you. You can't hardly see any of that. So when you're doing reversed enameling, what you need to do is take a toothpick and literally scratch down. I'm going all the way through the color down so that you can see the lines. Okay, so when you're doing reverse painting, you need to do that. Okay, and you need to come out. It's hard for me to see. So right now, this is not, let me zoom in real quick. This is not all the way out. This I can still see. So you need to bring that color application all the way over on top of the line that's outlining that area, because otherwise you're going to have a gap there. And then remember to go back, take your toothpick, and make sure you scratch the surface and blend those colors so that when you flip it over, you can see those colors. But then you've got your black on there for your detail. You don't have to come back and do fine lines. This is doing your fine lines for you. I think this is a great, great way to do and to use this technique. Hey, Miss Lisa. Just tuning in. Storms rolling through. Oh, I could send some rain our way. We need it desperately. Our ponds are absolutely bone dry. It's crazy. It was luscious in Arkansas. Did you see all those green trees I posted? I've got some great reference photos. I'm going to do some multi-layered like landscape. I've got a lot of, that's the reason I took so many pictures. I want to use them as reference. So any last questions before we sign off? That's really all I wanted to show you, just the different uses of the different stamps that you may have laying around. Or you can pick up your Colors for Earth stamps on the website. Okay, so it just depends on what product you're using, the firing. And I did not put firing instructions on that PDF, but I can go back and add a page. But you do have all that information on your flyers. You know, you've got your product flyers, and it tells you what you can do and do's and don'ts. Okay, but don't forget to go grab that off the blog. It's on my Facebook page. You can click the link, take you there, and then it says view PDF, and you can just download that. All right. You're welcome, Stephen. Let me switch back over if I can get my mouse to work. It doesn't like all this dry powder. I can tell that for sure. Okay. Okay. Turn that one off. Hide that one. All right. I am back. Okay. So think about that. You could just do even like a pour in the background, a really light pour with maybe some white, a soft blue. Pick 3 colors, put it in, and then you can have all these stamped images on the top. It would make a great part sheet. So your imagination is your limitation. I can't wait to see what you guys do with this, and I'll show you what I do with it down the road. Okay. Take care. Have a good evening, and I'll see you next week, and we'll be talking ceramics. Okay. Good night, everyone.